Let's move forward. It's week 16 next. We were let down by two teams last week, Dave. We went 1-2 with the week 16 picks. The Dolphins and Bengals just, laid down and died here. Now, we did have the Broncos as 2.5-point dogs winning outright. So that felt like a double pat on the back. But let's get an early glance at the week 16 slate, starting with the Pats on the road at the Ravens.
Yep. So this is a top spread of the entire week. Sunday night football matchup. Biggest early edge on the board alongside one other bet, which we will get to after this one. Probably the first time we featured the Pats on the show. I believe so. So welcome to the podcast, Mike Vrabel and Drake May. Hopefully you guys come through in your debut and help us get steal a little early value here even. Patriots are one of the best teams against the spread this year, 8-5-1. Ravens are the single worst at 5-9. Pats did finally lose a game last week. You could certainly say they were due after winning something like 10 straight. Coughed up a 21-point lead. Very surprising. You can't really count the Bills out in any game with Josh Allen, but the 21-0 really early in that, it did not look very good for the Bills and looked like the Pats were going to clinch the AFC East and keep the Chiefs in it. Although the Bills winning ultimately contributed to that. Josh Allen did finally eliminate Patrick Mahomes from the playoffs, despite not being head to head. But anyway, they did cough up that lead, but they really almost slammed the door shut. I mean, right when the Bills got the lead again, Travion Henderson took one like 65 yards to the house. I mean, he looked incredible. He's so fast. I really think he's going to have a bright future in this league. Suddenly became the offensive rookie of the year favorite after that game. So that's a really interesting race. It's going to come down to the wire here, but very good game by the Patriots on the ground. Kind of an underwhelming passing performance by Drake May, which I think is something a valid criticism of him is his less than explosive passing performances, though he just had a couple of good games. But he just didn't really have to in this. They were running the ball like crazy. Drake May rushed for 2 touchdowns in the red zone. Travion Henderson got 2. Pats rushing defense. Bills rushing defense is super exploitable, so that made sense. They did exactly what they had to do in that game. Yep. Pats defensive wise, their rushing defense is getting a little more lax lately. 200+ yard games in their past 3 to Chase Brown and James Cook this past week. Allowed under 60 for much of the season per game. So sign of a bigger problem there. I don't know. Maybe just running into 2 of the better backs in the league. Certainly possible, but something to consider going up against Derrick Henry now, who's coming off of a 100-yard game against a very bad rushing defense. Ravens side finally got the bounce back win they needed, but dare I say it, it wasn't really that good of a win. Probably not something you're going to say very often about a shutout, 24-0 victory, but it just wasn't the kind of convincing stuff you like to see from the Ravens. I feel like they should have dominated the Bengals, like even more so if you're going to win 24-0. One of those being a late Joe Burrow pick 6 that pads the score. I just think you would have kind of ran over this really bad defense a bit more. And now they're going to run into a defense that's quite literally on the opposite end of the spectrum and the rankings as one of the top 5 in the league against the run and the pass, really. All they did was hand the ball off. 200 rushing yards for the team almost. Lamar throws just 12 times, kind of masking the Lamar issues lately. Receiving core, nothing stellar. Zay Flowers, I think 66 yards. Did have a big touchdown grab. That was really impressive. I will say that. But I think he also dropped a big one too. But yeah, I don't know. They're probably not rushing for 180 yards against the Patriots, despite those couple recent games. And I think I'd be more hesitant to ride with the Patriots if they looked bad in that loss against the Bills. But I just wonder how long the Ravens can get away with an unintimidating passing game. And I mean, the Patriots are underdogs here, which we're not going to see very often. They've looked so good this year. Despite their less than elite schedule that they've played. It's not a team that I'm looking to fade in the current state or against the current state of the Ravens, I should say.
Yeah, I feel like there's 2 different trains of thought you could come out of the Pats collapse against the Bills with. Either path 1, where you're actually impressed they built such a sizable lead against Josh Allen in a big game, and it's like, wow, they really have something to them. Path 2, oh my gosh, they blew the lead. They lost the game. This team is so extremely fraudulent. I am a Path 1 guy. I actually came out of that game feeling really good about New England. I mean, that's a huge spot against Josh Allen. And I know the Bills are not a perfect football team. I am surprised the Bills came back to win that game, but Josh Allen also made some very heroic plays and stepped up to the moment in ways he hasn't earlier this season. I thought James Cook was huge in a couple of those plays. The New England very much, I come out of that game like that's a contender. Like the Bills are still a Super Bowl contender in New England. There aren't many teams that are going to jump all over them the way New England did. So I love it spot-wise, pissed off bounce back spot after you outplayed the Bills for 40 minutes. Like that's something I would absolutely want to invest heavily in. I'm glad the model shows value on that side. If that's a team we're trying to back against a team we're happy to fade, I don't know where you stand on the New York Giants right now, but I do know this. The Vikings are a team we will gladly fade with J.J. McCarthy under center.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the core of the case that I'm going to make here. 58.2% probability again, very strong edge, just like the Pats play. Look, unlike the Patriots play, where I'm not even like batting an eye at the +2.5, this is one I'd much rather the +3 or +3.5 here. Just not nearly as confident in a Giants team. But I do think it's kind of funny here if we're just going to compare the plays. You have Giants +2.5 against the Vikings. Patriots +2.5 against the Ravens. Doesn't that just at least feel a little wrong that they're the same underdogs? And what we've seen from these two teams here, almost completely opposite records. And the Ravens aren't exactly like the talk of the town where I'd be thinking that. But just a little side thought there. Not exactly the most hard-hitting betting analysis, but it's just a little thing that makes you laugh, I guess, when you look at the lines. Also a play I'm not rushing to bet here. Happy to wait to see if it makes our top edges come Thursday. Happy to see if you get a little bit of a better number without it moving, without like major injury news or anything, and actually getting a better odds at the 3 or 3.5. So, that's my early pitch for this. But I will say the Giants, they got a problem, and its name is Younghoe Koo. After the worst field goal attempt we maybe have ever seen 2 weeks ago, so bad it actually didn't count as a field goal attempt. So if you look at the box score, you won't see that he missed it because he didn't actually get a chance to attempt it, stubbing his foot into the ground. But he missed both his tries this past week in a 29-21 loss to the Commanders, which means those two field goals would have been the difference in covering the same spread in that situation. That was not the case in this game, but just goes to show those points really matter. And I don't know what's going on see it happen with kickers all the time. They get the yips, they fall out of form, but this guy used to bang 50-yarders for the Falcons and has been cut multiple times since. And every time they show the Giants sideline, Jackson Dart particularly after one of Koo's missed kicks, like it's really funny. It's sad kind of knowing that the guy's suffering internally and missing these kicks, but the reactions kind of tell it all. They just can't rely on him. They don't have any faith in him. And probably not the point you want to hear me say, well, I'm talking about the Giants +2.5, but it's just a fact. Similarly, the Giants defense is pretty bad and they can't really stop anyone. But on the flip side, for the most part, J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings have largely been incapable of moving the football consistently. We've seen them pretty much all year struggle to do this, except in these past 2 games against the really bad Commanders defense and the occasionally looking better, but still bad Cowboys defense. Kind of the same thing here with the Giants. NFC East run right here is pretty well timed for them to string together some good performances from McCarthy and make the case for him. But look, I don't know. I raised my doubts about him earlier. I don't need to go further into that about him as a passer. Just don't think that there's enough to get confident about the Vikings either to jump on their side of this play. They've been super vulnerable against the run lately. Just gave up 138 on the ground to the Cowboys, and Javonte Williams got knocked out of that game for a little bit. Both Dart and Tracy moved the ball really well last week against a similarly bad Commanders rushing defense. Likely to be a dirty game overall. Model's got some really good early value here. If you're into that, if you're into backing the Giants, it says it's a play right now. But as I said, I'd be fine waiting to see how this settles in a little closer to kickoff.
Yeah, if you're into getting dirty, the Giants are for you right now. I Googled Younghoe Koo's salary, by the way. Cannot believe he signed a $24 million deal in 2022, and this is now where we're at. Just
It's
crazy.
crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a serious kicker numbers too.
Serious.
Off
And
of,
he had a point in his career. He was really one of the more reliable guys there was, but just I don't know. What a mental position, have all the pressure on you. You mess up, you get the yips and terrible things happen. You have a note here. We've got a doc that we kind of go through as we do these, not to reveal that this isn't just a flowing natural conversation 100% of the time, but you have a note here on going back to the Justin Jefferson well. I'm going to need to be talked into, Dave.
I honestly can't believe I'm saying this. I'm only it's just the defense that I'm looking at. Like, look, if it can't happen here, it's never going to happen. I know he's had this 44, 12, 7, 20 yards in the last 4 weeks. It's really bad. We're projecting him for 56, but that means his line's probably going to be even lower than it was last week. Look, I'm not going to go broke doing it, and I won't do it again if it doesn't happen this week, but a ladder on Justin Jefferson this week would get it all back from last week that we didn't get. And if it would, then I'd be happy to put a bow on it, and I won't be betting on Justin Jefferson anymore. Either way, if he hits this ladder or if he doesn't, I will not be betting on Justin Jefferson again for the rest of the year. But I mean, you got, again, terrible defense. Like, if it's going to happen, it'll be this week. There's no lines up, no idea what the odds are looking like. And that'll be very key. If he's flirting with a higher line and value, I'm not going to touch it, but I don't know. It's probably a sicko in me. I'm very hurt from him not getting it this weekend. I had a couple other lays I put in the Discord that were hinging on him doing 100 yards and whatnot, but I don't know. See how I feel about it closer to the weekend when there's lines, but I think I'm going to go back to the well.
Yeah, I feel like I've done this 3 or 4 weeks successively right now, and I had touchdown was the big thing I needed this past week, and it was the same exact pitch, right? If it's not going to happen against the Dallas secondary, when's it going to happen? But the problem, I mean, again, you watch it, he probably should have had 80, 90 yards and a touchdown. He was
8 targets.
It makes no sense. I can't do it again. More power to you. Maybe you're just a more courageous man than I am. But if I bet anything with Justin Jefferson in it, I'm actually going to keep playing the same script it's been. I'm going to take Addison over, Naylor over, Jefferson under, and just lock it in. I don't know what happens. Maybe mix in Giants plus 2.5 as the final part of this reverse correlation ticket. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see, man. But I don't know. It's just crazy times we're living in where Justin Jefferson is down this bad.
Yeah, it's one of the few times that makes me believe in a higher power. Truly, it's the only. Our final pick here that we're looking at early in the week. What do you know? It's a third consecutive 2.5 ticket here. It's the Cardinals catching 2.5 against the Falcons. Once again, a 58% probability. What's the pitch?
Yep. So another team we haven't featured much, if at all, on the show this season, but they're getting some good value here is, another 2.5 point dog. Cardinals are not good. This is going to be kind of a similar pitch where it's going to be a skeptical one and just kind of analyzing the value on a purely objective standpoint, which is what we try to do here. But they're not good. They are better with Brissett under center, even if they have few wins to show for it. He feeds his guys. Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride have all thrived with Jacoby Brissett in the game. It's good for prop betting. It's good for fantasy. It might not always be good for betting on the Cardinals, which is what the bet here is. They've looked, better in a couple of recent weeks. They put up 20 points against the I don't know if that's the word you want to say, better. Maybe just more well-rounded, I guess. They put up 20 points against the Texans, who are basically the best defense in the NFL. It's only the 4th game the Texans have allowed 20 points or more. The problem is the defense. 30-plus points allowed in 4 of their last 6, 40-plus in 3 of those. There's a 40-point game in there. 2 of those are defensive touchdowns, though. But, 3 40-plus point games allowed by the defense. Drake London could be back in this one. I don't know if that's smart on the Falcons' part. Multiple injuries this year, 3 games left. You're not even having Michael Penix throw to him. Probably should just hold on to him, keep him safe, keep him healthy, but he might be back. Coach said that he's very confident that he will, and he's very hopeful that he'll be back. So make of that what you will. But the Falcons have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson. Might be a tough game for the old Zona, even with Kirk Cousins under center. However, Falcons have also given up 30-plus points in 3 of their last 5 games. They realistically should have lost to the Bucs this past game, who had chance after chance after chance to put it away. And a bad passing defense like that is going to let a team hang in. It's not going to bode well. But they had so many opportunities to just end that game, and they didn't. It's just not a good, similar to the Vikings-Giants, just on the other side of the spread isn't exactly a team you can feel very confident about either. Definitely another wait and see as far as the spread is concerned. Think you got some good prop angles in this one, given the star power and the matchups, though.
Yeah, no doubt. We are about to pivot into the fantasy portion of this program in just a moment. But first, I have my own fantasy football story. My biggest league I'm in, I stunk this year. It's a down year for the blue blood in my fantasy football league. And the biggest moment of the year that shook the group chat was maybe 6 weeks ago, when it's a 2-quarterback league. A member of our league traded Justin Jefferson for Jacoby Brissett. He needed a second quarterback, but there were riots, Dave. There were full-blown, how can anyone let this happen? It was the only time in like 7 years of this league where we considered vetoing a trade. Turns out the guy who got Jacoby Brissett for Justin Jefferson is about to win the league because he got Jacoby Brissett. I've been trolling it every single week, and from a fantasy perspective, the dude still just is like QB4 on the season as Arizona plays from behind and gives up a ton of points, and he's got to use his arm to keep them in it. It's a fun football team. Say what you want. I don't know if it's going to lead to wins, but they absolutely can put points on the board. And one of my general rules of thumb is when you got 2 football teams you just don't really believe in, it's never a bad idea to take the points. I feel like that's kind of what the model is saying in a couple of these plays this week, and I'm happy to stand alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, when you have 2 poor teams, you just have to non-poor, just not be worse than the other team, and that ceiling is wide open for either team in a matchup like that. Some of those good prop angles I think you can find in this game. Obviously, if Drake London plays, personally, I like his yards early in the game. I don't know if I'd go too high on him. Maybe, might re-aggravate an injury, but I think if he's healthy, they'll probably look for him nice and early. So I'd see what his first quarter yards look like. We got him projected for 68.3 and a 47% TD probability, maybe some first touchdown action, depending what that's looking like. Don't really know what kind of value you'll be able to get on Bijan. Obviously, his lines are so big and he's so versatile, but definitely going to be some angles there. Might look at like his first quarter lines to the max. Like he could just break a 40, 50 yarder in the first quarter, get you some serious plus money early on with that. Cardinals wise, the Falcons they were one of the best passing defenses in the NFL for the first half of the season. Not so much in the second half. They've allowed the second most yards to wide receivers since week 9, over 180 per game, 1.6 touchdowns to receivers per game. That's the most in the NFL. They are ranked 32nd versus wide receivers, both in the red zone and in fantasy points per game over that span. So Michael Wilson or Marvin Harrison, if he's healthy in this game, are going nuclear. Somebody is. Even maybe Trey McBride. Yeah, he's a tight end, but I would say his general talent eclipses that of the tight end position. Far more of a pass catcher than your, Mike Ditka tight end mold. So I just think someone's absolutely going off. 120 yards, 2 touchdowns might be in the works for either one of these guys. So I'll be looking at that a little closer again. There's hardly any receiving lines up when I looked this morning, so we'll have to gauge this a little more on the Thursday show and as we get closer to the weekend.
Yep. Yeah. All right, there you have it. 3 2.5-point dogs this week, courtesy of the model, each with a 58% probability of covering the spread. These can change. We say it every single week, but this is your early look. We do this program twice a week. We'll be back to finalize our full best bets card on Thursday. If you want to look for yourself and see how these edges and probabilities are changing, the best way to do so, the only way to do so, is with Dimers Pro. With promo code podcast, you can get 50% off of Dimers Pro and access all this information in real time. It really is important to do because when you place a bet is one of the most underrated elements of placing a bet. You got to get a good number. You got to get it at the right time. And if you do, you can sometimes open up opportunities to middle and give yourselves profits on both ends of a bet. our model works exactly that way. It's designed to help you do just that. So these are your early week spots. Stay tuned for more on Thursday. Get Dimers Pro in the meantime so you can check in yourself.